The 2024 election is fast approaching, and with it comes a whirlwind of anticipation, speculation, and anxiety. The political landscape is charged, and the atmosphere is electric as candidates ramp up their campaigns, each promising a vision for the future that could dramatically reshape the nation. For investors, the stakes couldn't be higher. The outcome of this election could set the tone for the financial markets for years to come. Every policy proposal, every debate, and every poll result is being scrutinized for clues about the future economic direction of the country. One name looms large over the race: Donald J. Trump. His presence in the political arena continues to be a polarizing force, evoking strong reactions from both supporters and detractors. His potential return to the White House is a topic of intense discussion and debate. A potential second Trump term has Wall Street buzzing with speculation. Investors are trying to predict how his policies might impact the markets. Will his approach lead to economic growth and market gains? Or will it introduce new uncertainties and risks? Key industries are watching closely. The manufacturing sector, which saw significant changes during Trump's first term, is particularly interested. The technology industry, always at the forefront of innovation, is also on high alert. Healthcare and energy sectors, both heavily influenced by government policy, are bracing for potential shift. The truth is, nobody knows for sure what will happen. The markets are inherently unpredictable, and the added layer of political uncertainty only amplifies this. Investors are left to navigate a landscape filled with mixed signals and conflicting information. But that's what makes this such a fascinating time to be an investor. Uncertainty breeds volatility, and volatility creates opportunities. For those willing to take calculated risks, the potential rewards could be substantial. It's a time for careful analysis, strategic thinking, and perhaps a bit of boldness. Trump's policies, often unpredictable and disruptive, sent shockwaves through the market during his first term. From trade wars that reshaped global supply chains to tax cuts that altered corporate strategies, his actions had a profound impact on the economy. Investors are now trying to gauge whether a second term would bring more of the same or introduce new dynamics. His actions had a profound impact on everything from energy to technology. The energy sector, in particular, saw significant changes, with shifts in policy affecting both traditional oil and gas industries, as well as renewable energy initiatives. The technology sector, always sensitive to regulatory changes, also felt the impact of his administration's decisions. Now, investors are bracing themselves for a potential repeat. Will history rhyme? Will the patterns of the past provide clues to the future? Or will new, unforeseen factors come into play? The uncertainty is palpable, and the stakes are incredibly high. Let's dive into some key sectors and see what a Trump victory could mean for your portfolio. We'll explore the potential impacts on manufacturing, technology, healthcare, and energy, and provide insights into how investors can position themselves to navigate the complexities of the 2024 election. Stay tuned as we unravel the possibilities and prepare for the opportunities that lie ahead. Energy was a sector that saw significant upheaval during the Trump administration. The policies implemented during his tenure had far-reaching impacts on the energy landscape, influencing everything from production levels to stock prices. Trump's energy dominance agenda, focused on boosting domestic oil and gas production, was a boon for some companies and a bust for others. His administration rolled back numerous regulations, aiming to make it easier for energy companies to operate and expand. This deregulation was particularly beneficial for the oil and gas sectors, which saw a significant increase in activity and investment. Under Trump, we saw a resurgence in American oil production, with the US briefly becoming a net exporter of energy. This was a monumental shift, as the country had long been a net importer of oil. The increase in production was driven by advancements in drilling technology and the opening up of federal lands for exploration and extraction. This was music to the ears of companies like ExxonMobil and Chevron, whose stock prices soared. Investors were optimistic about the future of these companies, given the favorable regulatory environment and the increased demand for domestic energy production. The stock market responded positively, with energy stocks outperforming many other sectors. Trump's support for deregulation and pipeline projects further fueled the industry's growth. Major pipeline projects, such as the Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipelines, received the green light, promising to enhance the transportation infrastructure for oil and gas. These projects were seen as critical for ensuring the efficient movement of energy resources across the country. However, his stance on climate change and renewable energy drew criticism. Environmental groups and advocates for clean energy were vocal in their opposition, arguing that the focus on fossil fuels was short-sighted and detrimental to the planet. The administration's withdrawal from the Paris Agreement further fueled these concerns, highlighting a stark contrast in energy policy priorities. A second Trump term could see a continuation of these trends. If re-elected, Trump is likely to double down on his energy policies, further promoting fossil fuel production and reducing regulatory barriers. This could lead to increased investment in the oil and gas sectors, as companies anticipate a stable and supportive policy environment. Expect a renewed focus on fossil fuels, with potential benefits for traditional energy giants. Coal, oil and natural gas companies could see a resurgence as the administration prioritizes energy independence and economic growth. This could also lead to job creation in these industries, providing a boost to local economies in energy-producing regions. But keep an eye on the regulatory environment and the global shift towards cleaner energy, which could pose long-term challenges. While the immediate future may look bright for fossil fuel companies, the growing emphasis on sustainability and the transition to renewable energy sources cannot be ignored. Companies will need to navigate this complex landscape, balancing short-term gains with long-term strategic planning to remain competitive in a rapidly evolving market. Defense spending is another area that could see a significant uptick under a Trump presidency. Trump has consistently advocated for a strong military, and his first term saw a substantial increase in the defense budget. This was a major win for defense contractors like Lockheed Martin, Boeing and Raytheon Technologies. These companies saw their stock prices surge as the government poured billions into new weapons systems and military technology. A second Trump term could mean even more contracts for these defense giants. Trump's hawkish foreign policy and focus on military might suggest that defense spending would remain a top priority. However, investors should be mindful of potential budget constraints and the political climate. Increased defense spending often comes under scrutiny, and a change in control of Congress could impact future budget allocations. The financial sector, often seen as a barometer of the overall economy, plays a crucial role in shaping the economic landscape. It reflects the health of the economy and influences everything from employment rates to consumer confidence. Under the Trump administration, the financial sector experienced significant changes. These changes were driven by a strong focus on deregulation, which aimed to reduce the constraints on financial institutions and promote economic growth. The administration's deregulatory efforts were seen as a major boon for banks and financial institutions. By rolling back regulations, the government aimed to create a more favorable environment for business operations and investments. One of the most notable changes was the rollback of the Dodd-Frank regulations. These regulations were initially put in place to prevent another financial crisis like the one experienced in 2008. The Dodd-Frank Act was designed to increase transparency and accountability in the financial system, but critics argued that it also imposed heavy burdens on banks, limiting their ability to lend and invest. By rolling back these regulations, the Trump administration aimed to free up capital for banks, allowing them to lend more freely and invest in new opportunities. This was expected to stimulate economic growth and create jobs. The deregulation led to increased profits for banks and financial institutions. Many banks used their newfound capital to engage in stock buybacks, which boosted their share prices and provided returns to shareholders. Companies like JP Chase, Bank of America, and Goldman Sachs saw significant increases in their stock prices, reflecting the positive impact of deregulation on their financial performance. Looking ahead, a second Trump term could see a continuation of this deregulatory agenda. Trump has been a vocal critic of what he perceives as excessive regulation, arguing that it stifles economic growth and innovation. His administration could push for further easing of rules governing the financial industry, potentially leading to even greater freedom for banks and financial institutions to operate without stringent oversight. However, this approach is not without its risks. While deregulation can boost profits and stimulate economic activity in the short term, it can also increase systemic risk in the financial system. Investors and policymakers must be mindful of the potential for increased volatility in the financial markets. Deregulation can lead to riskier behavior by financial institutions, which may result in instability. While the short-term gains from deregulation can be substantial, the long-term consequences must be carefully considered. Increased profits and stock buybacks are beneficial, but they should not come at the expense of financial stability. The financial sector's health is crucial for the overall economy, and any instability can have far-reaching effects. A balanced approach to regulation is necessary to ensure sustainable growth and prevent future crises. Investors should remain vigilant and consider the potential for increased market volatility. The financial sector's performance can be unpredictable, and deregulation may amplify these fluctuations. The lessons from past financial crises should not be forgotten. While deregulation can drive growth, it is essential to maintain safeguards that protect the financial system from excessive risk-taking and ensure long-term stability.